Thank you for auditing the Always Positive new music review show hosted by a French professor who didn't know he was going to feel compelled to review every new Black Country New Road song. I'm new to the band, I just discovered them this year with their first album, but it turns out as they're slowly dripping the releases from their February album, I just find myself wanting to talk about each of them. So I'm going to be talking about the new song that dropped yesterday, Bread Song. That's a little bit bland behind me. I like to have some kind of image. So I took one of these flashcards from my department. I am actually a professor of French. And I'll put that up there just to remind you, this is the Bread Song, about bread. Now, what I want to do is break the song into music and words, with a lot of emphasis on music, because it's a lot different from the Chaos Space Marine, the first song they released off their new album. Because, that one is just completely out front and just very loud and lots of transitions and music changes, and it has the kind of complexity and almost nerdy energy that makes Black Country New Road so interesting. Whereas this song is much more emotional. It touches you on sort of a deeper way. And the metaphor I'd like to use is that it's a slow burn. But I mean like actually a slow fire. It's a slow building burn. The image that I get listening to the music, the way it's composed, the way it's edited, the way it's layered, it reminds me of a fire that is starting and starts to burn. But it's not a wildfire. It doesn't go absolutely crazy with everything going out of control. Think of it like a fire in a fireplace, which I think works well with some of the themes of the song, which seems to be about sort of home and the inability to find a home with somebody or to feel comfortable making a home or a life with somebody. So just imagine a fireplace. And this song is the beginning crackles as the tinder starts to get going, and then it starts to light until eventually it's a healthy fire. Not a wildfire, but a healthy fire. So it's 7 minutes long, around 7 minutes, incredibly lush and deceptively complex. So I'm just going to take it verse by verse. It opens with just a guitar, a hand-plucked guitar, right? So not strummed, but like this, like that being played, going back and forth between two chords with these vocals very loud, very sensitive, very emotional directly in your ear. Every once in a while, the guitar will kind of hiccup, and those two different chords will change, but it's always between one note and another, fairly simple. The voice isn't quite whispering, but it's very gentle and very sweet. Based on their previous releases, I would say this is the best emotional range from the singer. Now, I hate to tell you, because my last video did quite well, and I know that Black Country New Road has a bunch of super fans, and they're going to be the people watching. But I don't even know the names of the band members. I'm not that kind of fan in general of music. Like, I can love an album. I was the world's biggest Radiohead fan, but I couldn't name you one song off of their albums because I just listened to them. I didn't study them. I didn't figure out where they recorded them. I didn't go into the detail. So I don't know the name of the lead singer of Black Country New Road. Feel free to tell me, Sky, you idiot. His name is Ezekiel in the comments. But I will say this is his best emotional work here. They're like certain little notes, like the way he says the word burned in Burned Scented Candles has a slight vibrato on it. And then the way that he says the words, so no one could doubt it. His voice cracks, but just perfectly, just subtly. Not so that it draws attention to itself, but that it rewards you for paying attention. Halfway through this verse, the strings come in. The strings, when I say the strings come in, you picture the strings. I mean like the string. It must be a violin. It's a high, whining violin. Maybe it reminds you of Velvet Underground. Maybe it reminds you of Hans Zimmer's theme for the Joker in the Dark Knight movie. Just a high, whining... It's noise, but not quite melody. At the end of this verse, apparently there's sort of two verses in here. According to Lyric Genius, these are two verses. I hear them as one, but there is a sort of slight break in between them. After this, we have like some ambient noise starts to come in, and then the guitars get louder, and all of a sudden horns start to appear, and then we have the chorus. Now, it's not a catchy chorus, it's just a chorus that happens to be a chorus because it's repeated. But here the horns are very high along with the voice. The violin is still droning, and that's important. This first verse, the violin is still kind of droning. If you're not paying attention, you might miss that a piano starts to come in. Pianos don't figure very heavily in this song, but they're used just right in this chorus, kind of a low rumbling piano. And then adding to the percussion is the drums. Just a little bit of a bell of a ride cymbal, or maybe a crash cymbal, being played 3 counties over. It's very, very quiet that starts here. But as this chorus goes, it gets louder and louder along with the voice. The drums appear to keep insisting that they're going to be here. They sort of keep jumping in and just getting a little bit louder, which leads to the climax, "Don't eat your toast in my bread." I'll get to the lyrics soon. And then this guitar comes out of nowhere, and it's louder than any other guitar on the song, and it's cleaner and it's sweeter, and it's these kinds of details that made me have to review this, that made me go into my box of flashcards over there and find the bread one. It wasn't easy to find. You think it would be, being a French professor, but I guess it's been used too much. So I hearing this guitar, this little instance, this one-off thing, tells of such mastery of songwriting, in particular of production. It just got me so excited, I had to talk about it. Because maybe you've been listening to the song like I have for the last day, and you didn't even hear that part. Halfway through the chorus, it gets super loud. It gets almost overwhelming. The fire that was kind of crackling in the beginning, and the string kind of added a little bit, and you see the flame start to grow a little bit. It sort of starts to grow. In the chorus, this is where we're getting the most. This is where it's providing the most physical warmth. The post-chorus has some saxophone kind of building, some guitar notes, and then it leads into the third verse, which is defined by the drums finally kicking in. Not kicking in, sort of kicking in. The drums stepping in. They're not really kicking. It's like a drummer, I believe he's playing, I don't know the name of the drummer either. Tell me that in the comments. Sky, you idiot. His name is Jose. He's playing a snare. He's doing rim and snare work. And then sort of as this is going, some bass comes in. And one thing that's nice about this kind of production, this kind of layered production, is when it's done well, you didn't know what you were missing. I didn't know I was missing the bass in the song until the bass came in. And it's such a strong and clear bass. It might even, I can't quite tell, I'm listening as closely as I can, it might even be doubled. It might be 2 of them. The beginning of verse 4, which I consider to be the second half of verse 2, it's announced with a hi-hat, and all of a sudden we have a real drum beat happening here, where the snare hits or the rim hits are replaced by a muted bass tom. So instead of dun 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 dun, it's dup 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 with an occasional bass drum thump. The drum production on here, hey, vocal production's a huge deal, and vocal production on this song is great. But the drum production on this song is divine. It's leading into the whole atmosphere of the song. If the drums were recorded or played any other way, I think the entire song would just fall apart like overly crusty bread, right? It doesn't. It really is able to keep together with these muted sounds. The second guitar gets kind of louder as it goes until we hit the second chorus. Now I want to emphasize that whining violin, because when we get to the second burst of, when you watch a fireplace long enough, sometimes it just gets a little bit quiet, like it gets quieter out of nowhere, and then eventually something falls on something else, and the fire gets bigger. This is where the fire kind of spontaneously rebuilds again, and we get to this very warm, the warmest part of the whole song, this second chorus, where the guitar almost sounds like a banjo. It's upbeat. The bass drums are getting more and more insistent. The saxophone becomes more melodic. The whining violin, if it's there so far in the background, you're not paying attention to it, because instead of that, you have this gorgeous saxophone playing. So much harmony and clarity, and the voice is so clear, and the notes are so resolving. By the second half of this chorus, we have this bass drum that's basically going to a 4 on the floor, a dance beat, a disco beat, doom, 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 doom. And you're just getting totally excited as you're sitting in front of this fire before it's quickly and somewhat unexpectedly dies out, and you're sitting there probably shivering, cold, and alone again with your bread. Which leads us to the lyrics. Now the lyrics are great. One thing I have had problems with Black Country New Road is sometimes I fear they're too smart for their own good, that they're too clever, and cleverness, as we know, can often be the enemy of emotion. So this appears to be a very intelligent song about dealing with a disinterested lover. I can't tell. I'm not going to be heteronormative. I don't know if the singer, Ezekiel, is singing to a man or a woman, but whoever it is, they seem disinterested. The opening lines to the song, I just woke up and you already don't care. Oof! You know, that that is brutal, right? Just right off the bat. I just woke up and you already don't care. Now the music's so good. I don't fault you for not paying attention to the lyrics. But that is amazingly ouch, amazingly painful. This person who I guess he says she. So I guess we'll assume some heteronormativity here. She is on her phone, and then as the song goes on, we see that he's trying really hard to make the house look nicer with those candles that he burns and a painting that he hangs up. And the way he describes this painting is interesting. The paintwork was perfect, so no one could doubt it. Oh, I was still losing. The word perfect, I think, is interesting. And I'm just going to make a guess about Ezekiel here, about the members of the Black Country New Road. Based on their music, these are perfectionists. And one of the greatest pains of perfectionism, one of the greatest myths, if you know a perfectionist or if you are a perfectionist, I hate to tell you, but your entire worldview is based on the following myth. If I'm perfect, it will save me from loneliness and neglect. That's what you hope. The reality is, plenty of people who are perfect are lonely and neglected. And this song, at least how I'm interpreting it, maybe I'm projecting, because these are experiences I've had in my life, thank God in the past. I'm no longer lonely, I'm no longer neglected, but there were times where I tried to be so perfect, I thought I could save myself from neglect and pain and disinterest from people who I was trying to count on. So this leads into the central image of the bread, of the singer, I assume, Ezekiel, whatever his name is, and this unforgiving lover who's mad at him about eating toast in bed. Now I do want to say one thing. Two things. First of all, if you've never watched Marx Brothers, there's a hilarious scene where Groucho Marx is sitting alone in his bed with his nightcap on and in his pajamas, and he's just eating saltine crackers. It's just a very funny image. Second thing is, man, I'm not a super neat guy, you know. I don't insist on having clean everything, but I hate having crumbs in my bed. But it's a good metaphor for the difficulty of living with other people, right? Bread represents nourishment. Bread represents, for a lot of people, a sense of home, a sense of safety, a sense of comfort. Bread is very much a comfort food. So the image of this lover telling him that she doesn't want him to have crumbs in her bed, and also doesn't want him in her bed, is a very strong image, because if you are the kind of person who is in a relationship where you're just not that into the person who is into you, you could hear the song and go, yeah, no kidding, Ezekiel. I don't want crumbs in my bed. No one wants crumbs in your bed. You get crumbs in your bed and you do that thing, but then your body mass is on the bed, so you do that, and they just jump like they're in a flea circus. The little crumbs just keep jumping back, and you just can't get them, and you have to clean your sheets, and who wants to clean your sheets? Because then you got to fit them over the edges. The drama of domesticity, the drama of a long-term relationship, is all played out in these songs from this lovelorn perspective. Now, despite the emotional strength of the song, it's snowing. Sorry, I live in Western New York. It shouldn't be snowing, so I'm looking out the window. I apologize. That's not about the song. I just noticed it's snowing. If you live in a cold place, tell me in the comments. Oh, and smash the like bucket and subscribe, but don't do the notifications because that's annoying. So despite all of the fancy wordplay, all of the high-minded metaphors, I would argue the emotional center of the song is not even that metaphor. It's nothing clever. The emotional core of this song is the part where he says, "Oh, darling, I." This moment of breakdown, of exclamation, of despair, I think, is the strength of the song. Why is this a better song, I think, than many of their others? Even though when I first heard it, truth be told, I was underwhelmed, because I was expecting a Black Country New Road, right? And instead I got this slow burning fire. This "Oh Darling I" is the strength of the song. Oh, darling, I never felt the crumbs until you said, this place is not for any man nor particles of bread. Reducing him to the bread, to being like a crumb in her bed. Crumbs. The after chorus has this interesting image, the second half of the song, of no Wi-Fi in an apartment, sort of modern symbol of what we need, like the kind of nourishment that bread provides in a certain way, Wi-Fi also provides. No one had Wi-Fi inside your apartment, so we knelt at your altar, this sort of feeling of loss, and then repeats the first verse again, which is about trying to connect to somebody. And what's essentially happening is he's trying to connect to somebody who's failing to connect to other people. And we're left with that coldness, with this kind of slow-burning fire that is extinguished, and we're kind of sad, realizing that we're just crumbs. So, there's my review. Thank you, Black Country New Road. Ooh, I'm actually it's actually my office hours, but nobody ever comes. Nobody. I teach some hard stuff, like past participle agreement with direct objects. You know what I'm saying? But no one ever comes. Oh well. If you're in college, go to office hours. Talk to your professors. Know who they are. It's a good way to get the most out of your education, and to make your professors' lives better. Okay, until next time, until Thunderground Thursday tomorrow, there's the camera.